As you can already see, I didn't memorize my speech, so he's already kind of out alphaing me on that one. We were all hoping Ari didn't show up tonight, so we didn't have to listen to two of these, but here we are. First and foremost, welcome everyone to beautiful Lancaster, Ohio. I think this is the most people this city has seen since the Pilgrims' first town hall there. On to Jake. I've known Jake since the 4th grade. Growing up with the Jezerskis, they were another family to me, if you will. I spent my first Easter with them. I went to Key West for Christmas with them. Basically anything to avoid my boring family Jewish holidays. Sorry. As a kid, Jay would take us to the local Tim Lally Chevrolet dealership on the weekends to watch movies. Back then, I thought that was the coolest thing, right? But now, as an adult, I can see pretty clearly, I'm pretty sure it was just a Chevrolet employee break room, and Jay was slipping the guy a 20 to watch us while he ran out to get more Budweiser. So kids nowadays are getting virtual reality headsets, but Jake and I got to read about the new sunroof in the 2004 Chevy Impala. So that, on top of the yearly trips to Jeff and Barb's for the Penguins game, the Jezerskis were my second family. It got to the point where I would start telling my mom she didn't make sandwiches as good as Jay. The sandwich was bologna and mayo on white bread. That's all it was. But it was a letdown when she tried to recreate it, so sorry, Mom. Growing around the Jezerski family, I made it my personal mission to learn ASL. 18 years later, can't even make a complete sentence. So, sorry was the only one that stuck with me, because that's the one I said the most to his parents. So, staying at Jake's house almost every weekend, it was the perfect environment, as his parents would never hear girls down there. Not because they were deaf, there just weren't girls over anymore. But it had drawbacks, because in turn, whenever we'd be at my house, my mom would come down the stairs, yell at him like clockwork, since he's so damn loud, for any of you that know him. Growing up, Jake was 1 foot taller and about 40 pounds heavier, so it was nice getting absolutely manhandled in every sport that we played. Even all the way up until about 2 years ago, we'd still play hockey in my basement. Sometimes he'd run into the occasional pipe or wall and get injured, and that would even the playing field just a little bit. Except for one time, one track meet in 8th grade, finally, Jake came in second last place. I came in last place, so didn't get to hold that over him. In terms of Jake's future, Jake's gonna make a great dad. He builds everything, whether you like it or not. He tried to change my brakes on my car for me in high school, and I said no, because I value my life. He basically restructured his house in college. Rachel, now that you share everything, including finances, probably a good time to tell you that he and his roommates, including Corey, still owe a balance of a few thousand to that house landlord for the 100 beer boxes he nailed to the wall, his home-built bar that folds out of the wall, and the wall he turned into an actual chalkboard in that house. I know he'll be a great dad too, because he's just a wealth of knowledge, all the fun facts he can share with his child. Like how he once told me 2 out of every 100 people you see on the street are ghosts. That's a fact that was told to me by anyone else. Finally, there are 8 Chevy dealerships in the greater Columbus area, or as Jezerski's call them, daycares. So he's all set there moving forward. Growing up with Jake, I wouldn't change it for the world. I would do anything for one more Saturday night hanging with him and Greenie at Applebee's with no other friends or social life. Or driving around with the top off of his 80s Camaro, the thrill of not knowing quite when it was going to break down on us was such a rush. It was tough when he moved to Fishers, Indiana. It was tough when he went to Cincinnati for college. And it'll be tough officially handing over the keys to Rachel. So on to Rachel. How great of a bride does she look tonight, huh? Jake and I actually met her the same night at a party our senior year. Clearly she has good taste, because she didn't want anything to do with me. That's why I'm sitting at this table. They chose to stay together as he went to school and she finished her senior year. he asked for my advice, and I was like, man, you can just tell that you guys have something special. But don't you dare go to college in a relationship. But he knew what they had. It wouldn't be easy, but they made it work. He obviously didn't take my advice, because we're all sitting here today, which is great. Through all of college and beyond, they got past any hiccup, and they prevailed, and they just proved how good they were for each other. As Ari alluded to, we made a bet early in college, freshman year, if Jake and Rachel were going to get married. And as of an hour ago, it looks like I'm on the losing side of that bet. But I have never been happier to have been wrong. I've never wanted to get slapped so hard to prove it, which is the bet, it's a slap bet, as I haven't been slapped at a party since college. However, I'm raising the stakes, $20 for anyone who can convince Ari not to go through with it. And Mrs. Brummer, I'm looking at you, you're my number one option here. Rachel and I have always known how to lightly bicker with each other. I think a telltale giveaway of that was when she told me she was happy I was getting slapped. Wasn't nice, but I forgave her. But I've always loved Rachel, like a sister, and I even wore my corgi heart-shaped socks to prove it to her. Can we raise a glass to Rachel? But finish your drinks quickly, because that old landlord's bounty hunter is going to raid this thing in about 30 minutes. So let's get out of here. Love you guys. Have a great night.
Thank you so much for your testimony.
He killed that. that was probably better than mine. How much?